The rumors have been swirling for a while now. This is not a new rumor, but I think where the shock comes from is that the perception was that they had looked into this and didn't find anything. Um, the rumors I think date back to the fall. Um, so obviously they were initially denied. They were looked into, and clearly, if they had found something at that time, he would have been dismissed. So, something that they found here in the last 24 hours resulted in some evidence that was so compelling that Ward Manuel felt he had no choice but to dismiss him because even without all of that information, you could see that they were clearly of the mind that Sherrone Moore, despite whatever rumors that had been swirling, they were clearly had seen nothing to make them think that he wasn't going to be their coach moving forward. He had just hired Kerry Combs as his special teams coordinator a couple of days ago or over the weekend. So he was moving forward business as usual, and then here very abruptly, he's out. So inappropriate relationship. I think you're if you're Ward Manuel, you're deeply disappointed. You're disappointed because obviously you had misconduct from an employee, but you also feel you feel like you were lied to. On top of that, the misconduct. I think the distrust that was clearly present here leaves him feeling probably a sense of betrayal. And now you got to move on and try to find another coach after you get through this bowl game.
Yeah, that's always one of these things where you don't waste a lot of time on the dead body. You start
Right.
moving on, and Sam, I realize we're barely an hour and a half into this story, but give us a composite of what you think the coaching search will look like, and the type of coach. So many are already gone that it will ultimately end up with in terms of the new Michigan man.
And so I think it's different than than the Sherrone model. The Sherrone model was clearly a product of circumstance. He was a member of a staff that had built the national champion and was handpicked by Jim Harbaugh as his successor that clearly had a very heavy influence on Ward Manuel and the succession plan. Wanted to maintain that culture, maintain that program. But or outside of that, absent that, his inexperience, I think, would not have had him be a candidate for the job. Now that you have a blank slate, you're going out if you're Michigan and you're going to find inexperience, if you can, championship caliber coach. And if it's me, I start with knocking on the door of Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer, if you know, like I know, when he was at Washington, had some interest in Michigan. That doesn't mean that he'll be interested now. He was not interested in Penn State. So he could be totally content and happy with Alabama. They're a playoff team. Alabama's a story program, but Bama was ready to run him out of town 3 months ago. So might you be able to rekindle? Might you be able to stoke that interest that he had in Michigan a couple of years ago? If I'm Warren Manuel, I am kicking that tire. He would be my number one candidate. You certainly kick other tires concurrently, but that would be my number one, two, and three candidate as I'm working other back channels at the same time.
Courtney Morgan, Kalen DeBoer's general manager, played football at Michigan, graduated there. Whether that matters or not, I don't know. But certainly, this is somebody who understands what it takes to be a Michigan head coach. On DeBoer, expand that a little bit because that's the name that has been the hot name of the moment, understandably so. But what have you seen in DeBoer that you think would marry what Michigan is all about? Michigan's a different job. It's not just like everybody else. And how do you think that would fit,
Well,
assuming they could hire DeBoer?
I think Kalen's a cultural fit. I think he's familiar with the area, with the culture. He was a coach at Eastern Michigan. I think that he has some familiarity with the people, like you mentioned, Court. I know Court. I went to Michigan with Court. He's one of my good friends. I know him very well, and by extension, he's familiar with the Michigan culture and what makes the program tick, the inner workings, the history, the esteem. Many of the things that attracted him to Alabama attracted him to Michigan before that. And then he's just the kind of guy that he is. What's appealing about Kalen DeBoer is, I think, what would make what makes him so appealing, or what will make him so appealing to Michigan if they decide that he is a candidate for him. He's just a really, really good dude on top of being a really, really good football coach. I don't know that he is, he culturally has ever been a great fit in the South. Now, that doesn't mean that they aren't adopting him now that he's winning. Winning makes you a fit, right? And so maybe that'll soothe all wounds and make bygones be bygones. I don't know. But my point is, if you're Michigan, you make them say no. You knock on the door and see what he says behind the scenes, and if he says no, then you move on. But you don't pursue other candidates without also pursuing Kalen DeBoer first to see what he says.
So, I mean, I hate to keep asking the same question, but you said Kalen DeBoer 1, 2, and 3. I'm not going to ask you about 4, but uh, beyond Kalen DeBoer, is there anybody else that you would even put in that same boat?
In the same boat as Kalen? No, I mean I heard people talk about some other names out there. There's some hot names. They mentioned guys like Joe Brady. I know a guy who would love the job is Jed Fish. He has some familiarity here out at the University of Washington. Another Washington coach, by the way, who coached at Michigan as well. I think his name is one that would come up in the mix as well with some ties here in Ann Arbor. I don't think that's a prerequisite, but an offensive mind that will have some advocates in the family, I think, is one that would be mentioned. But again, I think the thing that's so appealing about Kalen is he is a championship caliber coach. He has proven it. He has taken two programs now to the playoffs. And if you can swim in those waters, that's where you want to be. So, are there other playoff coaches that you can compel, other playoff coaches that you can get interested? That would be a question to kind of keep an eye on if you're Michigan. But he is the one that I know has had some interest in the past.
Yeah, and I realize this is just happening, but Ward Manuel's been around, and he had to think this could be happening. The signing day's over. The portal doesn't open until January. So, uh, would you sense that the school can take a deep breath and see how the playoff plays out? Alabama plays a week from Friday. If they win, they play on New Year's Day. Um, how does that mesh with something that we weren't even thinking about this morning? The timetable for the Michigan coaching search.
Well, the tough thing, you got two things that disallow relaxation. You can't relax. You got guys who can jump in the transfer portal, and you got coaches who can take other jobs. So if you want to protect your roster and you want to, give yourself a staff to potentially have to mine from, because I think there are a lot of coaches that they would like to have as options for whoever is the next coach to potentially retain. If you want to have those options, then you need to be moving. You need to be moving with deliberate speed, as deliberately as you can, understanding that the timeline is not something that you completely control yourself. So it's tough. You got to be communicating with these players, kind of keeping them abreast of your plan, and the same thing with these coaches, understanding that they might just have to do what they have to do in their own best interest. It's a tough spot to be in if you're Michigan.
Incredible conversation, Sam. Many thanks for coming on. I know these are busy days when you do what you do. Thank you. We hope we will obviously be talking to you again very soon. Sam Webb joining us from 24/7. I'm not trying to hyperbolize